doesn't make any sense to me. Kyle should be over the moon about Talarico. Talarico does the kind of rhetoric that Kyle loves. Like substantively, Kyle is way more aligned with Talarico. So this all just feels so superficial to me. Like he's standing her because she's like aggressive rhetorically and she's, you know, gone viral a number of times. He's more focused on that than the fact that Talarico is for sure way more up his alley, way more in Kyle's lane than Crockett. I'm surprised you're so against Crockett. I'm against Crockett because I don't think she can win. Like, if it's between a populist who can win and a liberal who can't win, I'm going to go with the populist.
Call out Trump for inflation going up. Call out Trump for unemployment going up. Call out the fascism and the concentration camps.
Are the Democrats not doing this? I just don't understand. Like, what's with the lectures? Like, what's with the lectures, bro? Like, Democrats are crushing it right now. Democrats are murdering electorally the Republican Party. His rhetoric does not match the reality of the situation.
Texas Senate race now. Texas is like Democrats' white whale or whatever. Is that the expression? They always think they've got a shot at it. They never do actually have a shot at it. Probably going to be the same again this time. But, you know, this is shaping up to potentially be an extraordinary reckoning in this midterm. So who they pick as the Democratic candidate matters a lot. So yesterday we had a lot of movement in this race. Previously, you had James Talarico and Colin Allred, who were in the race. And Talarico, you guys probably seen him. He's like young guy. I know he's attracted a big following. He went on with Joe Rogan. Rogan was into him. You know, he's tried to, I think, really use some of the language and try to appeal to like a left liberal kind of a lane. Okay, so like Elizabeth Warren adjacent kind of a lane, right? Good. And now, yesterday, we had the entry of Jasmine Crockett, who has made a national liberal democratic brand for herself as like one of the fiercest fighters against Trump. Now, ideologically, she's kind of like standard Democratic positions, but she's bad on Israel. She took crypto money. I don't think she supports Medicare for all. But the woman has a lot of charisma. She has a lot of star power. She has a great ability to trigger the right, which is something that Democrats are really valuing. So she announces she's getting into this race. And I think
Congressman Jasmine Crockett has a mixed record on Israel-related measures. She voted against a partisan, inadequate, and fiscally irresponsible Israel aid package and has publicly endorsed the ceasefire and diplomatic efforts in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Crockett also supported resolutions backing Israel's defense after October 7th. Even as she publicly urged ceasefire and humanitarian steps, her voting record reflects a pattern of supporting robust security assistance to Israel and specific standalone legislation, but opposing omnibus or partisan packages she judges to omit humanitarian assistance or to worsen deficits.
Part of the backstory there is through the Texas redistricting. Like her district got kind of screwed. So she's like, all right, I guess I have to go and jump in the Senate race. So when she announces Colin Allred drops out, so now it's basically Jasmine Crockett versus James Talarico. Jasmine had, I think, a very interesting and very, I guess, controversial launch video that she put out. And for those of you who are just listening, it's just her, it's her face, like a close-up of her face, effectively staring into the camera while Donald Trump, clips of Donald Trump insulting her and specifically insulting her intelligence play. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
I don't like this ad. I just don't like it, man.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
So that's the whole thing. Just her sort of turning to the camera as he's insulted. What do you think, Saagar? Tell me your take, and I'll give you my take.
It's just the classic 2018 bullshit. You know, stand for nothing. Trump hates me. Look,
okay, but do you think it'll be politically effective?
100% he's going to win. And that's
he might be right about that. You might be right. Like Texas primary voters are probably going to love that ad.
Listen, I mean, let's be realistic. This is part of the problem. Talarico is actually trying to intellectualize this way more, because when you were talking about the standard left liberal thing, because he's trying to go after the new Texas Democrats. So the thing is, Texas, like Houston suburbs, Dallas suburbs, these people are Mitt Romney Republicans. I grew up with them. They're like Christian, but they're, like country club. They're rich, mostly. Now they're Democrats. Well, the Talarico kind of like, I'm evangelical, but I'm a Democrat. And,
sort of like, feels very Buttigieg.
It's very Buttigieg, exactly. And by the way, who was Buttigieg's core constituency? Remind me, right? The upper middle class white liberal. Yeah. So that's who he's going after. The thing is, though, is that right now those same people are radicalized as much as like with boomer shit lib memes. So Jasmine Crockett.
I don't think I agree with this at all. I don't think Talarico is rhetorically similar to Pete Buttigieg. I think they use different, but Pete Buttigieg is not a populist, and Talarico is definitely leaning into populism.
It is the logical endpoint of that. They hate Trump. Like, there's actually not a lot going on beneath the scenes. So Jasmine Crockett is the logical endpoint for the Texas Democrat, because for a lot of the people there, for them, they feel like they live in occupied territory, right? They're like, oh, we have a Republican governor and Dan Patrick and all this other crazy, Ted Cruz and John Cornyn. We want somebody to stick it to Trump. And so that's why Talarico, again, to me, he's almost trying to like over-intellectualize the process. She gets it. Stand for nothing, just be against Trump. By the way,
just to be clear, the recent polls that have the head-to-head matchups between Talarico and Crockett show Crockett with like a 15-point lead. I don't know, I'm making it up. It's like 42 to 54 or something like that. That's actually, and I made this observation internally before I saw Laksha post about it, but he did post about it, but I didn't steal it from him. That's actually good for Talarico. Just to be clear, this guy is relatively unknown. Very few people know about him. She has had a huge advantage on him in terms of name recognition. She has had a massive platform in the United States Congress to get her viral clips. She has a really big social media following. And the fact that he is only like 12 or 13 points behind her in some of these polls, that's like, whoa, okay. And I think it indicates that he can grow even further. It's just a question of like how much can he grow? How much can he get his name out there? He needs to do what Beto did, which is like, Beto, I think, literally drove to every district. He did like a bus tour and, like filmed the whole thing. And but this is winnable for Talarico. I'm telling you guys.
It's going to work. 100% she's going to win. And that's one of those, I mean, I'll eat my words, I guess, if Talarico does win. But the thing is, she doesn't have a shot now because, at least in my opinion, because what you just talked about, the core swing demos, that Talarico, Crockett, what they're trying to do is just take anti-Trump energy. What I think the lesson of the Zoran...
How's our boy Graham doing? Graham Plotner in the last poll was down 10 points to Mills. That was a C-rated pollster. I don't know. The polls in Maine are all over the place. They're all over the place. So I have no idea what to make of Maine. He hasn't had any controversy in like 3 weeks, so that's good for him. He had a rough like month, 2 to 4 weeks, where it's just like every other day some crazy shit was coming out about him. But yeah, I have no idea what to make. We'll have to wait until we get more into the weeds, more into the primary, until we get some more high quality pollsters out of Maine. But I don't know what to make of those polls.
Mamdani campaign is that you have to take anti-Trump energy and
polling hasn't recovered from the advent of the cell phone, has it? Well, there's some problems now, for sure. There's some problems right now. I don't know what happened, because it feels like pollsters spent 8 years trying to figure out how to poll in the era of Trump and trying to figure out how to weight things differently to get to more accurate results, accounting for cell phone and the disruption that cell phones cause for polling. And I feel like 2024, they got to a good place. I was like, okay, maybe we cracked the code. We figured it out, because the polls in 2024 were pretty good. And then all the polls right now are awful. That they're severely underestimating Democrats. like by absurd margins. And so it feels like polling is broken again. And I have theories as to why that is. You know, like they did all this work to figure out how to poll people when Trump is on the ballot, and they figured that out. And maybe they're applying the same methodology, but now that Trump's no longer on the ballot, it just doesn't. So I really, yeah, polling is in a bad place. And ironically, like Polymarket, which I feel like we all mocked, but Polymarket has been more accurate than polls in terms of predicting outcomes. So I don't know what to make of that. You know, that's interesting to me. That's kind of interesting.
Marry it to something else. And with that, you can win over the Trump voter. That is not happening. Beto O'Rourke already ground tested the anti-Trump strategy in 2018. Lost to Ted Cruz by 2 points. You will never have that again, because now there are still enough Latino Republicans who may, like, not all of them are going to swing back, right? Like, even if some of them do. So the margins just don't exist. Like, the statewide data is now in, and it's very clear. Texas.
I don't know. Republicans have lost a lot of support from Hispanic voters. I mean, it is remarkable. I think it's been the most dramatic shift, maybe apart from young people, but it's been like a 40, 50 point drop with Hispanic voters. I think for obvious reasons.
But even with shifting demographics and all of this, you would have to win over a pretty historic number of these traditional Latino voting Republicans. Not happening under Jasmine Crockett. Definitely not happening under under
James
Talarico. Colin Allred, by the way, he kind of tried the inverse of this. The kind of like football,
He's a football
buff guy.
Was he in the NFL?
I think he was an NFL.
Yeah.
He was a football player.
And
right?
he's like a centrist.
Yeah,
Democrat.
but he tried the like, I'm standing up to Trump and I played football, you know, that type of thing. That shit didn't work. Like, Beto is as close as they were ever going to get. That was 2018. The shifting demos, like, no, sorry. It's not happening.
let me caveat by saying, like, neither of these candidates exactly my ideological cup of tea. Like, I mean, Talarico took Mary Madelson money.
Right.
He's tried to shift his position on Israel. We want to talk to him because I want to know more specific.
Allred almost won, didn't he? I don't think so. I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't need to look it up. Yeah, did he lose by 10 points? Yeah, he did not come close. Yeah.
About where he's
also, I'm pretty sure he's pro gambling. So
yeah, the problem with that, she's taken crypto money. Although I don't actually, I've tried to look. Her record doesn't seem that bad on crypto. I mean, she voted against the Genius Act. Every Democrat voted against the Genius Act. In any case, she took the crypto money. She's really bad on Israel. She's not for Medicare for all, right? So neither of these candidates is like my ideological cup of tea. I think in the primary, I think you're right. Right now, the Polymarket odds have her up 51 to 48. So they have it effectively tied in terms of the Polymarket odds for whatever.
Not so sure about your detective work there, Lou. That's not an effective tie. What? Huh?
That is worth. You already see her garnering endorsements from House members. Ayanna Pressley came out and backed her. So that's going to give her some momentum within the Democratic Party. And I just have to tell you, on pure, raw political talent with no ideological valence, the woman is a star. Like, she is a star. And I think the reason why that launch ad was, again, not what I would do. I would want to foreground affordability and specific.
I just need people to ground their analysis in like actual real world data, because having a big social media following and going viral on social media a bunch of times, that does not, like, if you call someone a star, I assume that that politician is broadly popular, and she's just not broadly popular. We need to have a conversation about how to evaluate politicians, because I feel like this stuff, just people just throw these claims out there. They make these big claims about people like Mamdani and people like her.
Specific plans, etc. But why it was very politically clever for her is because it puts on display her greatest strength, which is, again, triggering the right, which in the same way the right loved and still does love the candidates who can trigger the libs. Democrats now are in a place where if you can get Fox News mad at you and you can get Trump coming after you, they're like, yes, that is what we want to see. The other thing it does is it casts her as...
That's not good, by the way. I don't think that's good, by the way.
The main character. Right? It puts her at, like, I am already at the center of this thing. And so I think she has a lot of strengths. Talarico, you know, there's something, even though there's a lot that he says that should appeal to me. He has this very, to me, dated style. Like, part of what was cool about Zoran, obviously the policy is the most.
You're a big city liberal, and he is, where does he live in Texas? James Talarico. James Talarico. He's a Presbyterian seminarian, a former public school teacher, serving in the Texas House of Representatives since 2018. He was born at a Round Rock Hospital in Williamson County, Texas. Is that a big county? He's just a very different guy with a very different background than her. I'm surprised. I'm kind of shocked that she doesn't love Talarico because he does the exact kind of populist rhetoric that she loves. But I guess he's too prim and proper for her or something. I don't know. He's like the son of a preacher. He's like, you know, he's like grew up in the church and went to school for like scripture related stuff, you know.
Most important part. But he had this very modern aesthetic. The font, the vertical video, the cuts, the authenticity of it, it just felt very natural to him. Talarico's launch ad is him standing in the back of a rusted out pickup truck with the church in the background and the Texas flag.
It's a really good ad.
Here, and this fake crowd gathered around him, and it feels like 2006.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something about it.
You guys hear that? They're working on You guys hear that? They're drilling downstairs. I don't know what they're doing. I have to use the I might have to use the oh boy, it's so loud. Ooh, they might have stopped. All right, we're good. Maybe we're good. I don't know.
That to me is just like off-putting instantly. And again, it's not fair because, again, this is not about ideological valence or like where he stands on the issues, but there's a stylistic issue for me with him that I'm having.
He's like a small town Texas rural like Christian guy, and you're like a big city liberal. Of course there's going to be a difference there, but who cares? Who the fuck cares?
Trouble overcoming. And I think,
like, why does that matter? The substance of his campaign should explicitly appeal to people like Krystal.
Maybe it is also like lingering Pete Buttigieg trauma, because
is it literally because he vaguely looks like Pete Buttigieg? Is that what this is about? Because, like, to me, when I listen to him talk, Talarico and Pete Buttigieg, they're very different. They're like on very different wavelengths. They're not as similar as she is alleging here. It's just they kind of look similar. I think that's all this is.
Pete also did sort of had a similar stylistic approach, similar way of talking, also branding himself like, oh, I'm the
Hold on, let me I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna switch to NVIDIA broadcast. Video broadcast. There we go. Mic check, mic check. I'm talking, and I'm clapping, and you can't even hear the clapping. Isn't that fucking cool? Technology. Okay.
Christian, so I can speak to the Christians on all of this stuff. So primary, I also give the edge
think about this
to Jasmine Crockett.
Talarico's speech from his Fort Worth rally, if you're interested.
Not looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom.
Krystal Ball should love this guy, man. He is directly speaking her language.
The people at the top, the Elon Musks, the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their algorithms and their news networks tear us apart on an hourly, daily basis. They divide us by party, by race, by gender.
I can kind of fuck with his. Can you hear the thing when I talk, by the way, or does it filter it out? I can kind of fuck with his populism, to be honest with you, because it's a kind of it's like a religious populism. Are you sure you can't hear that? It's so loud. This magic, this witchcraft. You do hear it a bit? Okay. I think what happens is the way that Soy Pill explained it is it takes it a second to filter the. So if the drilling starts, then it'll pick up. You guys will hear it in the first like second, and then the technology figures out how to filter it out, and then yeah. But he doesn't do the kind of like leftist populism. His is like, Jesus wants us all to be cool with each other, and the billionaires are making us meet. It's like framed from a kind of religious kind of perspective. Why is religious populism good? Well, to be clear, all populism is brain rot, but religious populism could be good in a state like Texas, I think, for obvious reasons.
By religion, so we don't notice that they're picking our pockets, that they're closing our schools, they're gutting our health care, and they're cutting taxes for themselves while they raise taxes on all of us.
I also think I'm biased because, again, like I was raised in the Catholic Church in Northern California, and the way he talks about scripture and Jesus Christ was the way that I was taught, which is very different from evangelicalism and the kind of Christianity that you see aligned with the Republican Party. Like, this sounds so familiar to me. So maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know. Ace with $10. Trump is down, but not out. Trump has better polls than the Democrats. And until we know the results of the 2028 general election, we shouldn't assume the Democrats are going to sweep. I'm not making any assumptions about 2028. I think 2026 is locked the fuck up. And I think he is down and he is out. I think Trump is out. There's a couple things that I'm looking at right now, which is like, number one, he is diminishing. We can all see it. I understand that that's rich coming from a Biden supporter, but I never denied that Biden was like slowing down. But that stuff we learned from Biden, that stuff makes an impact on people's perceptions. And he is just very clearly physically diminishing. He's like slurring his words. He's fucking falling asleep in cabinet meetings, literally falling asleep, like nodding off. He's rambling even more than he normally rambles. And almost everything that he's doing is really unpopular, and he's fucking with the economy. So like, he is out. He has no more political capital to spend. It's kind of pathetic. Like, it's kind of pathetic. Not kind of. It's really pathetic.
That is, again, I'm from there. I've seen this movie before. That's like a blue dog Democrat strategy. This shit doesn't work. It's been dead since 2010. There used to be. My congressman.
This feels very consultant
it doesn't work anymore.
Driven. You know?
They don't want this, like, I'm a rancher. It's like, who was the Montana guy? John Tester. Yeah, same shit. All right, guess what? He lost.
For him.
Guys, he is like a native Texan. He just speaks very properly. That's all it is. He just presents in a very proper kind of way. But this dude is a native Texan, was born in you guys were saying it was a small county. You know, if you want to call him soy, you can call him soy. But like, I think he is like an authentic religious Texan. And when I look at this guy's bio and I listen to his rhetoric, like, I like his brand of Christianity. I genuinely really like his brand of Christianity, and I think it's very authentic. They're getting hung up on the fact that he speaks in a very kind of proper way, but that is authentic to him. Like, that seems authentic to him. It's probably just nostalgia, guys. It's probably just nostalgia, man, because like it is like the way that he proselytizes, the way that he talks about scripture and Christ. It sounds exactly like what I was raised with, which was, I think, a pretty good take on Christianity. You just never see this kind of Christianity in politics. You just never. It's maybe you do, but it's like the evangelical kind of version of Christianity is overrepresented in politics. It's just everywhere in the Republican Party, and it's so different from the kind of Christianity that I was raised with. As a rural Texan, his brand of Christianity isn't going to fly with people out here. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. You know Texas more than I do, probably.
But he did very well in that state, given the overall politics, because that was authentic. He actually really was a rancher, right? He lost like his hand, like his finger or something, yes, and a ranching axe. Like, that was authentic to him. Talarico, it feels very like, okay, we got the consultants together in a room, and you're a young guy, so we need you to make you appear like larger, and like you've got this crowd behind you. Or I don't know. It just all feels very, very crafted and inauthentic. Jasmine.
Come on. You don't think that Mamdani's ads were crafted? Of course they were crafted. You think he just, you know what? We're just going to wing it. Don't worry about blocking the scene. We'll just kind of wing. We'll figure it out. You know, we'll do it as we go. Like, of course, like all of that was crafted as well. Okay, I think we got the gist of what she's saying. What's Kyle saying? I don't know if he talks about him in this video, but he talks about Crockett in this video.
So we have an interesting race shaping up in Texas, running for the U.S. Senate. So we have the Democrat James Talarico, who's been running for a while. And now we have Jasmine Crockett just decided to jump in this race. So first of all, let me just show you Jasmine Crockett's launch video here. It's basically Trump like viciously attacking her, and it just shows her standing there. It's sort of a unique kind of ad. Let's take a look.
How about this? Yeah.
To your side, because there's no...
Crockett's going to bring him back.
I actually think that's a brilliant ad. It absolutely positively rallies Democrats to your side, because there's no denying it. There's no gray area. It's very black and white that attack from Trump was racist. Trump does this all the time, where he calls women of color low IQ, and he literally did it in like order of how dark their skin gets, the lower IQ he says they are. I'm not kidding. So he would say, like, you know, he'd say AOC is...
Yes, evangelical Christians are generally instructed to proselytize, though how that's understood in practice can vary. But my sense of things from like evangelicals, and I've had a lot of interactions with evangelicals in my life as well. I've encountered many evangelical, and they weren't all like this, but like I've encountered I've had like face-to-face experiences with like a lot of evangelical Christians that they're hitting me with the like, you don't want to go to hell, do you? Like, it's just like they're just like really aggressive about it and standoffish, you know. Like, I just had a lot of bad experiences with evangelicals, and they're so embedded in the Republican Party, and so like the faith and Republican Party politics, they just go hand in hand. There's like a marriage of Republican Party politics and the evangelical faith. And you just see it so much. And so like any kind of religious intertwinement, if that's a word, with politics is usually that. Meanwhile, there's a lot of people in the Democratic Party. In fact, I would assume that most of the Democrats that are serving in Congress are probably Christian. I would just assume. Feels like a safe assumption. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And like Biden's talked about his faith sometimes, but he mostly kept that private, you know. I feel like that's more typical with left-wing politicians, Democratic Party politicians. They don't really like talk about their faith very much, and it's certainly not a part of their legislative agenda. And meanwhile, in Republican Party politics, it's like they're trying to codify scripture, you know. They're trying to do like Christian Sharia law. And I do think there's a lot, like I know people that are super left wing or like super liberal, you know. Like I know a few people that are super liberal, like they're my age, and they're also like just quiet believers in Christ. Like they'll, you know, the conversation about faith might come up, but they're not trying to like aggressively convert me or anything like that. And I have no problems with these people. I'm not religious. I don't believe in pillars of the Christian faith like the divinity of Christ, and I certainly don't believe in a literalist interpretation of scripture. And but I have no problem with those people. None whatsoever. They're like, some of these people are really good friends of mine. And I, you know, for me, like that's why one of the reasons why I like Talarico is because like he gives me those vibes. Like, you know, I get the vibes where it's like, if it came up in a conversation that I didn't have the faith, you know, and I feel like he would be one of these Christians that would just, he would just try to like set a good example and like try to attract people that way. He's not preaching the hellfire and brimstone and all that.
AOC is low IQ, but then you have Ilhan Omar, who's even lower IQ. Like that's what he does. So it's very clear. Like this isn't subtle. The other day, he was doing a rally speech, which I don't even know why the fuck he's doing a rally, but he was doing a rally speech, and he literally started talking like a Klansman. He started talking like he was reading a lost page of Mein Kampf. The shithole, they come here from shithole countries. We don't want shithole people from shithole countries. It's like, Jesus Christ. So I think this is a very good ad. Now, a lot of interesting things are happening in this race because apparently, and here I'll show you this, new inside the NRSC, their AstroTurf recruitment process to push Jasmine Crockett into the Texas Senate race. So what Notice is reporting here is that Republicans, they wanted to run against Jasmine Crockett,
Yep.
So they created like this groundswell to try to get her to go into the race. And so they had a bunch of polls, for example, where she was doing the best of any of the Democrats in the primary, right? And they would send that poll around to be like, oh, look, Jasmine's the best one. Now, in their minds, they're going, that's who we want to run against, but we're going to try to like create a bunch of evidence so that she sees it and she wants to get in the race because they feel like they'll have an easier time beating her. So I see a bunch of people talking about this, but I see everybody fucking missing the point too, by the way. What they don't understand, what people aren't getting is that, yeah, Republicans definitely did this, but they're also total fucking idiots and they don't know who's a good candidate and a bad candidate, especially on the Democratic side in the year 2025. So, yes, I think that they think it would be easier to beat Jasmine Crockett.
What I want is, and I'm open to being persuaded, but what I want is a persuasive argument for the bull case for how Crockett can win in a general. As you guys pointed out, in 2024, Allred lost by 10 points. Texas has just not been great for Democrats in recent years. It was trending kind of towards them, and it just hasn't been great. So you're going to have to explain to me how she is going to make up for, a potential 10-point deficit. Now, we might be heading into a D+12 midterm, and shit, fucking anything's possible, right? Like at that point, like, man, maybe she can win, right? But you have to explain to me your logic for like, okay, if she's not going to turn out potentially like some Trump voters to support her, because the math would kind of dictate that you would need to probably swing at least some Trump voters to vote for you. So if you're not going to do that, you have to explain, well, how are you going to make up for that deficit? And for me at this point, the argument, well, we're going to turn out low propensity voters. We're going to get young people excited. I don't know. I've heard that 1,000 times and it just never happens. I've heard it 1,000 times from progressive candidates. Like, we're going to win by energizing the base and then getting young people excited to vote. Mamdani had impressive margins, but that's New York City, number one. And number two, he's, pretty unique candidate. Number three, that race had national attention. And so like, I don't know. I don't think you can just reasonably expect to just replicate his success, especially because her race is going to be, partially drowned out by every other race that's going to be happening in the midterms,
They are fucking wrong about that. It actually reminds me perfectly of Hillary Clinton doing the Pied Piper strategy, they called it, because they wanted to run. Hillary's people wanted to run against Donald Trump, thinking he would be the easiest one to beat. They're like, oh no, we're scared of Jeb Bush and we're scared of Marco Rubio, but Trump, we'd easily beat him. So they like pumped him up, made him be the guy on the other side. Then they got their...
Didn't happen. That did not happen. I hate this, man. There's so many myths about American politics, so many modern myths about American politics, these things that people accept as true because they've been repeated over and over again. But that didn't happen. The Hillary campaign and the Democrats didn't actually do a Pied Piper strategy with Donald Trump. There were emails that were released, that were hacked and then leaked, that showed the Hillary Clinton campaign discussing the possibility of doing a Pied Piper strategy. But that's all it was. It was just a discussion. They never actually did it. But whatever.
Their wish. And then what happened? They fucking lost. The Hillary people didn't know politics. They were wrong. These idiot Republicans, how can anybody look at what the Republican Party is doing right now and what they're going through right now and think like, oh yeah, they have their finger on the pulse. They know what works and what doesn't. So they're honestly, they don't...
I mean, that's fair, I guess.
Don't even realize it. They're wishing for their own demise by saying, oh, we'll run against Jasmine and we'll destroy her. You might think that. And also, by the way, let's keep it real. A lot of that stems from they're racist as fuck. They think a loud black woman, ain't no way a fucking loud black woman would beat us. But guess what? We are in the era of fucking fighters. And finally, we're going to get some Democratic fighters who are not going to
Finally, there's no Democratic fighters out there right now.
Fucking hold back. And so that's the part of this that they're missing, is that they act like, oh, but she's a crazy narcissist.
Do we have polling for how Crockett polls in the entire state of Texas?
Have you seen who's fucking president? Being a crazy narcissist is like a job requirement to be a politician these days, you jackasses. Oh my God. So I see a lot of the chatter is fucking infuriating me. I see even people who are left leaning be like, oh, the Republicans wanted her to run. So like, obviously, you know, it would be bad if she was our nominee. And it's like, since when do you take Republicans' judgment at face value and assume they're intelligent? They're actually the dumbest fucking people in the country. Thank you very much. Now, she goes on CNN and she's asked a question here about how she's going to win over Trump voters. Here's what she says.
How you make voters who previously voted for Trump, particularly given that you have been an outspoken critic and he has inserted himself, just take your campaign video as is. He has inserted himself at every turn when it comes to your commentary. How will you convert those who are supportive of him to voters for you?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll necessarily convert all of Trump supporters. That's not our goal.
Do you need to?
Our goal is to definitely talk to people. No, we don't. We don't need to. Our goal is to make sure that we can engage people that historically have not been talked to, because there's so many people that get ignored, specifically in the state of Texas. Listen, the state of Texas is 61% people of color. We have a lot of good folk that we can talk to. We know that when Beto came really close, Beto, who is a progressive, we know that he got 65% of the Latino vote. So what did they do after that? They specifically went after Latinos. We know that he got close to 90% or right there at 90% of the African-American vote. So honestly, what we need to do is start talking to the vast majority of Texas. I think my message is very much a mainstream message. I don't know who disagrees with the fact that affordability is a real thing, except for the president, who says it's a Democratic hoax. But when somebody goes to the grocery store nowadays, whether it's in East Texas or whether it's right here in Dallas, Texas, or whether it's in Austin or West Texas, let me tell you, they are looking at those grocery prices and they are thinking we deserve better. Knowing that we do the amount of trade that we do in the state of Texas, yet right now there are these unwarranted.
I mean, it honestly might be enough. Like people's dissatisfaction with the state of the economy might be enough to push her over the finish line. I don't know.
Tariff wars, that is directly impacting us, knowing that we do agriculture big in Texas. We do everything bigger in Texas, but we do ag big, and understanding that we are hitting record-breaking bankruptcy filings by our farmers. Listen, my message is real simple. I'm looking out for you, your survival, and the survival of your kids as it relates to affordability, being able to actually go and access health care, being able to send your child to school, being able to afford a roof over your head. If that's not, you know, what Trump supporters want, then fine. Then they absolutely won't listen to me. But I'm here for the everyday person, the person that's not the billionaire on the list that Trump has decided to take care of, but the people that he left sitting out in the cold, just like he did when he decided to be sworn in and he decided that Inauguration Day, he would have it inside.
This doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Talarico, like, Kyle should be over the moon about Talarico. Talarico does the kind of rhetoric that Kyle loves. Like, substantively, Kyle is way more aligned with Talarico. So this all just feels so superficial to me. Like he's standing her because she's like aggressive rhetorically, and she's, you know, gone viral a number of times, like saying Marjorie Taylor Greene had a butch built body and stuff like that. Like he's more focused on that than the fact that Talarico is for sure way more up his alley, way more in Kyle's lane than Crockett. Beanshog says how? Populism. Talarico is running as a populist with populist rhetoric on a populist platform. He's explicitly populist. Kyle is and always has been a left-wing populist. Populist, yeah. She is not a populist. She's like a, you know, she's probably not a moderate, but she's definitely not like a lefty. And she's definitely not a populist. Kyle likes the drama. Yeah, I think he does too. But like, I don't know. Has he said anything about Talarico? By that logic, I'm surprised you're so against Crockett. I'm against Crockett because I don't think she can win. Like, if it's between a populist who can win and a liberal who can't win, I'm going to go with the populist. Bad company with $2. If we're being real, it's because he's white. No, I don't think that's it. Crockett is a normie Dem. She's just abrasive. Gotcha. I don't really know much about her voting record.
While so many of his lawyer supporters were outside.
Now, would you believe that she was attacked for that answer from nominal allies? So the Bulwark posted this not in a flattering way, and then Matt Iglesias chimes in, this is an easy question too. Just say something like millions of people voted for Donald Trump because they believed his promises to get the cost of living under control, and I'm going to
That's right, yeah. That's like the no-brainer answer to that question, yeah.
Win them over because they're realizing he hasn't delivered. Which, by the way, she did kind of say something like that. She talked about affordability. Oh, Trump says it's a hoax. We don't think it's a hoax. But
I mean, she was standoffish. Like, she was obviously being standoffish right there in that moment, rhetorically against like Trump voters. Like, she was not, you know, she made it very clear that she's not going to try to win by winning any of them over.
Them, oh my God, how dare you say we need to get out all.
Calling her abrasive is ridiculous. Is it though? I feel like she's a firebrand. That's a part of her brand. It's not like necessarily pejorative.
Our side. We need to get out voters who, have been disregarded for too long, who haven't been spoken to for too long. How dare you not say, we need to get some of the MAGA people on our side? No, I'm sorry. I'm over this shit. I'm done with this shit. The year is fucking 2025.
Okay, but in the year of our Lord 2024, Texas was a R plus 12 state. So, do the math here, right?
MAGA is a fucking fascist movement. Trump's at a 35% approval rating. You do not need to fucking coddle these idiots. You don't need to do it. We can build a coalition of centrists, center-left people, and far-left people. We can build a coalition of centrists, liberals, and leftists. That's what you do. Hey, I'm going to turn out our people. That's what I'm going to do. And now that's the fact that that's still controversial in 2025. Like, are we really still doing this thing where it's like, well,
don't you have to adjust your priors depending on what state you're running in? Like, does the math not matter in the analysis? It's just difficult math. Like, for her to almost entirely make up for the deficit that Democrats had in Texas in 2024, she would have to turn out a record number of first-time voters, disengaged voters. She would have to move mountains in terms of exciting non-voters enough to show up and actually vote. That's a tall order. That's a big deficit.
You're going to need to reach across the aisle and grab some of those people. At what fucking cost? At what? Anybody who's still on Team Trump, anybody who triple Trumped is gonzo. They are dunzo.
No, they're not, though. They're not. This is not true. The idea that somebody who voted for Trump can't be persuaded to vote for a Democrat? I mean, it's not going to be most Trump voters. Not even anywhere close to most Trump voters. But it's going to be some. It's going to be enough to swing elections.
So they are TFG. It's a wrap. Let's stop pretending this like mythical crossover voter.
It's not mythical. We did like that. We know that there are crossover voters. In fact, I bet you I can find okay. I'm losing my mind because I'm almost positive I've seen a Kyle Kulinski video of him covering the whole thing when AOC was asking her voters, like, how many of you guys voted for Donald Trump? And like, tell me why you did that. You remember when she did that, like on Instagram? Kyle reacts to Trump AOC voters a year ago. AOC Trump voters? Here it is, right here.
So Breaking Points did something really interesting here. Griffin, their producer, decided, I'm going to go on the ground in New York. I'm going to ask people who voted for both AOC and Trump, why'd you do that? Which, again, it's fascinating, right? It's fascinating to ask that question. It's fascinating to hear their answers. So let's take a listen and we'll break it down as we go here.
Why did you vote for both Trump and AOC in 2024?
Because America needs a role model, and I think Donald Trump is a role model.
Trump is a role model? I mean, look, I don't want to be an asshole, but it strikes me that is just genuinely a low information voter. You got to call a spade. 91 criminal charges, over 20 accusations of sexual abuse against him. Tried to overthrow the last election. Like, my guess is she's saying he's a role model because he's successful, right? Like, that's what's happening in her.
No, we don't need to watch the whole thing, but like, certainly he's aware that crossover voters do exist. They absolutely exist. And now he's calling it a myth. I mean, they're the exception and not the rule. Most people are partisan in one direction or the other. But these people exist, and the margins in recent elections and modern elections in 2025 and in this era of hyperpolarization, all the elections have been fucking close. Like, we've had really close elections consistently for fucking years now in this country. Grassroots hegemon with $20. He will acknowledge a huge chunk of Bernie voters went to Trump. That's another good point. Yeah, that's another great point. But can't acknowledge the reverse is possible. Populists are famously morally unmoored, undisciplined, political prostitutes. It's a pretty easy group to court. Ooh, I like that rhetoric. That was good. That was good. That was elegant writing. I like that. Could you give your top 3 reasons why you don't think Jasmine can win? I'll just give you the top reason. It's like the most important reason. I think the reason why Jasmine Crockett can't win is because she's running as an explicitly partisan Democrat in an R plus 12 state. That on its face is like, I don't know. If you're running as like super pro Democratic Party, super anti-Trump in an R plus 12 state, I don't know. Like, the candidates that win in Republican led districts or states, they're going to be more like Dazudanya and Vichy. Like, give me some examples here. Like Dan Osborne. He didn't win, but he had a really impressive performance in Nebraska. Like typically when the Democratic candidates that win in like Republican-led states, they're not nearly as explicitly partisan as Crockett. Crockett, my understanding of Crockett's seat that she's currently sitting in is it's like a D+50 seat. She's in a really super blue district, right? We want these left-leaning independents in these red states. Dan Osborne is a great example. Yeah. Even though he didn't win, but he got within like 7 points in Nebraska, which is like, that was pretty good. She's in a super blue district, my understanding. And you can't copy paste the same strat that you ran to have a dominant performance in a D+, what was it again? She's in the Texas 30th congressional district. She won by a very large margin, receiving roughly 85% of the vote in the district against her Republican. Bro, she got 85% in her race against her Republicans. So she's just like, has she ever run a tough race? That's the other thing too. No, not yet in her U.S. House contest. All of her House races so far have been strong Democratic wins, not competitive general elections. So like people like Jasmine Crockett, I think have value to the party. I think she adds value to the party. I do think she's an intelligent person, and I think she, it's a good thing to have people like her that excite the base. It's good to have those people in your bench. But in terms of the overall value that she adds to the Democratic Party, someone like Alyssa Slotkin is probably way more valuable to the party, in the sense that it's harder to replace someone like Slotkin than it is to replace someone like Crockett. You could very easily replace someone like Crockett with another Democrat. It's actually really difficult to replace someone like Slotkin, who won 4 competitive races. She flipped a seat in Michigan in the House that had been held by a Republican for the previous 18 years. And then she successfully defended that seat twice. And then she went on to win a Senate race in Michigan. And all of those were competitive races. Like, she's 4 for 4 in competitive races. What about James Talarico? He first won in 2018 in what was then District 52, flipping a seat that had been held by a Republican in his first campaign 2018 was competitive. He defeated a Republican candidate in a district that wasn't reliably Democratic. That was notable because Democrats hadn't won that seat in a long time. 2022 and 2020 and 2022 was less competitive. After redistricting in 2021, Talarico moved to run in District 50. Oh, he serves the Austin area, which is a solidly Democratic district. So Talarico has demonstrated he can flip a district in Texas that was held by Republicans. She's never flipped any seats. He's won a competitive race in Texas, flipped a seat, and she's never run in a competitive race. Like, I don't know, like, just like the fundamentals, just when you look at the fundamentals on paper, Talarico is a stronger candidate, even though the polling suggests that she's more popular in the primary. Dasvidani with $2. Andy Bashir would be a good example too. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's fucking that they're not there. They're not there. That's not how you win an election. You win an election by actually standing for something that is not what the other side stands for, which is why Democrats need to be clear. Call out Trump for inflation going up. Call out Trump for unemployment going up. Call out the fucking massive warmongering that he's doing right now. Call out the fascism and the fucking concentration camps. Call out.
Are the Democrats not doing this? I just don't understand. Like, maybe we have totally different news diets, because I see Democrats on my feed every day talking about this stuff.
About the endless corruption. Like, this is what you need to do. Build something different. You don't have to fucking steal from your enemy.
What's with the lectures? Like, what's with the lectures, bro? Like, Democrats are fucking crushing it right now. Democrats are murdering electorally the Republican Party. Just decimating them. What is with this, like, urgent, like, you got to do this, otherwise you're going to fucking keep losing. Like, his rhetoric does not match the reality of the situation. Like, the Democrats are killing the Republican Party right now.
When it comes to substance, you don't have to try to get their people. We have enough people. Have confidence in your own ideas that if you build it, they will come. And by the way, if you're strong, maybe you will chip away 2 percentage points from the other side that do come to your side. But you're not going to do it by fucking genuflecting at their altar and pretending like they have a point when they fucking don't. So I'm sick of this.
That's a straw man. Who is suggesting that you do that?
Shit, how dare you How dare you say you're not trying to win over Trump supporters? Are you fucking kidding me? At this late date, this fucking fascist death cult, and I'm supposed to fucking, genuflect is, oh, please come to us. What do you want me to say? I'll say whatever. No, I'm going to fucking stand for something. You come
I don't think that's necessary.
over here or you don't. But either way, we're going to win either way because I'm going to get the centrist. I'm going to get the liberal.
Well, that person she was talking to did. No, the person just said, well, the person phrased it bad. I think she misspoke. The person was like, said something about winning all Trump voters. I think that was just her misspeaking, but just mathematically, Crockett is going to have to convince like some Trump voters to come over to her side. I don't know how you escape that math. She wants to escape that math by saying that they're going to focus on turning out low propensity voters, but that's a dubious strategy.
Liberals, and I'm going to get the leftists. Okay, here is Jasmine Crockett being asked directly about why she thinks she's a better pick than James Talarico. And this
has he given his opinion on Talarico? I'm telling you, man, he should love Talarico, bro.
Is her answer. Then we'll get into some more of the specifics between them. Here we go.
Now, what do you say to a Texas voter who says, I've got a tough choice. I got two rising stars in front of me. I got Talarico and I got Jasmine Crockett. Why am I supposed to support Jasmine Crockett?
Yeah, so I think this just comes down to experience. Right now, we know that we're living in an unprecedented time. We're living in a time in which I don't think anyone saw our foundation being broken the way that it's been broken. So number one, I think that my legal training is an advantage in this moment because when we're starting to talk about almost anything that we can talk about that people are very frustrated about, whether it's the overreach on the tariffs, whether we're talking about the impoundment of congressional funds, to the extent that we know that hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives because they decided to illegally impound USAID funds, or whether we're talking about the fact that ICE has decided that there is no due process for anyone, including U.S. citizens, right? They have decided that if we look at you.
Grassroots hegemon with another $20. Kyle, that is you, boo-boo. You are the populist cocksleeve. Jesus.
And if you talk a certain way, then that's enough for us to take you into custody. And so we have a record number of not only deaths because they have been violating people's constitutional rights and using unwarranted force on people, but we also have an unprecedented amount of U.S. citizens that have been arrested. I think at this moment in time, for sure, we not only need someone who knows those very real stories because I get the phone calls. I'm the one that gets the phone calls about people being concerned about their Social Security. I'm the one that gets the phone calls about whether or not their Medicaid or Medicare is going to go through. And so you want someone, at least in this moment, that has that experience. Obviously, I've worked on the state level as well, so I understand the differences between the two. And I can tell you that it was completely different coming to the federal level. And in this moment, I think experience is going to matter more than ever. I don't have anything bad to say about James Talarico. I'm sure people want there to be some kind of fist fight, but I don't believe in that. My issue is with those on the other side. But there was a reason that I entered the race, and it wasn't because of James Talarico. It was because of Jasmine Crockett. It was because of the numbers that showed that I have a path to actually winning, because I could build this diverse coalition, a diverse coalition that was required for any win that we saw on November 4th. And so it is going to be important for those people that historically it felt like nobody's talking to them, those people that I typically am able to actually break through and get to. It's important that we bring them in. The conversation keeps being about how are we going to get Republicans? Why isn't the conversation about going to our actual base and getting them out? Because
you're in Texas.
End of the day, I'm a Democrat. So no matter how many Republican talking points I were to give, which I don't have very many for you, at the end of the day, when somebody shows up to the polls, they're going to see a D in front of my name. And I think that that is why we have been losing with this idea of we're going to get this mythical crossover, because at the end of the day, when they show up to the polls, they always see that there is a D in front of your name.
So here's what they both need to do. So I was doing some reading on both of them, and here's what they both need to do. They both need to unequivocally come out and say they
you found the in stream links. Okay.
Support single payer, Medicare for all, universal health care. Both of them need to come out and say
she doesn't. Talarico does. Why are you standing her?
That.
Right. Does Talarico support single payer? Although he hasn't publicly tied himself to a specific federal healthcare system like Medicare for all, some voter guide characterizations place him in the camp that favors expanded government-funded health options alongside private options. Yeah, I don't think either him or Crockett support Medicare for all.
Right now, I don't think she's on the record as supporting Medicare for all. Right now, I don't think he's on the record of supporting Medicare for all. So both of them need to come out unequivocally, say that. The other thing is they both have a weak spot here on Israel. Now, Talarico is a little bit better because he decided to take the pledge.
Oh, boy.
I'm not going to take AIPAC money anymore. That's great. And I don't actually think he took it in the past, but he did take money from a Miriam Adelson aligned PAC. And nominally it was for gambling reasons, like he got paid to try to legalize gambling in the state of Texas or something like that. But it is a Miriam Adelson aligned PAC. That's unacceptable. We're not taking money from Miriam Adelson or anybody related to Miriam Adelson. We need zero Israel lobby money. Now, Jasmine Crockett, I don't think she's taken AIPAC money directly. I had said in the past that she did. Apparently, I may have been mistaken in that. But she has not a good voting record on Israel. She voted to arm them. She has defended us being allies with them. So what I need from both of them is zero Israel lobby money, not just AIPAC, but DMFI, any other way you could get that Israel money, zero Israel lobby money, and come out and support Medicare for all. So I need to hear both of them say, no more money and no more weapons to Israel, and we need to, arrest Netanyahu and charge these people for the war criminals that they are. This is what I need from both of them. I need both of them to be unequivocal. We are going to stand up to the war criminals and the warmongers. No more money and no more weapons for Israel. And I support Medicare for all. So that's where I'm at right now. But look, overall, generally speaking, you have two decent options there. And I'm a little torn myself, if I'm being honest with you. When it comes to...
Okay, all right. That makes more sense. I was like, why don't you love Talarico?
When it comes to fighting, I think Jasmine is just a better fighter. I do. She also has this other issue where she took some crypto money in the past. That's not okay, right? Like, we need no more big money. Stop. Like, you're literally one of the most...
Okay, we gotta investigate all these claims here, okay? In 2022, reporting shows 2 crypto-linked super PACs, Protect Our Future and Web3 Forward, each put about $1 million into spending supporting Crockett with ads and mailers. Crockett told Texas Tribune she welcomed the outside spending. Roll call also explains the broader pattern. Crypto-linked super PACs can raise unlimited money but must spend without coordinating with candidates. She didn't take crypto money. What the fuck are we talking about here, guys? Is that the same thing as taking crypto money? Am I being pedantic? To me, that's not the same. You keep saying she took crypto money, but that doesn't appear to be true. If you mean direct campaign contributions, that's a different question. It would require checking itemized receipts for crypto industry PAC individuals. The strongest sourced claim I can verify from public reporting above is the $2 million of crypto-linked super PAC independent expenditures, not direct campaign money given to her committees. That is not the same. That is not the same. An independent, crypto aligned super PAC spent money on ads for her, and that means she took crypto money. That's so misleading.
If not, Jasmine is just, generally speaking, you have two decent options there. And I'm a little torn myself, if I'm being honest with you. When it comes to fighting,
he just did that with the tangential Miriam Adelson money Talarico got. Okay, now we got to look that up too. It's thinking.
I think Jasmine is just a better fighter. I do. She also has this other issue where she took some crypto money in the past. That's not okay, right?
But she didn't. She didn't take crypto money. Kyle Kulinski, I'm afraid, you guys, does not appear to have rigorous standards when reporting on the news. Okay. Yes, campaign finance records show James Talarico accepted $59,000 in 2024 from Texas Sands PAC, which the Texas Tribune describes as a pro-gambling PAC funded by casino megadonor Miriam Adelson. The same Texas Tribune piece also notes Texas Defensive PAC as another Adelson-backed group active in Texas politics. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about accepting PAC money, because it's like, I don't know, man. I just don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I don't love the influence of PACs in elections, but it's like, to me, it's like gerrymandering, right? Like, I don't know if I believe in the principle of disarmament, of unilateral disarmament when it comes to PAC money. You just have zero principles, and that's okay. Just be honest about maybe. No, the principle that I'm focused on here is the principle of you can't do anything without political power. That's my principle. That's like probably my foundational guiding principle at this point in my political evolution. I've lived long enough, and I've experienced and witnessed and lived through enough administrations and power swings. That's just the primary focus for me. Like, nothing matters if you don't win elections. Like, I don't care about your ideology. I just don't care. I don't care if like your principles tell you that everybody should have health care and blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't matter if you can't win elections. And if Democrats say, okay, you know, none of us are going to take any super PAC money, and then if Republicans are just taking all the super PAC money, then like it's the same kind of concept as gerrymandering. Like, what? Okay, we're being principled against super PAC spending, but if that leads to just Republican domination electorally, what are we getting for that principle? Like, I feel like your guiding principle has to be the prioritization of winning elections, because nothing matters if you can't win elections. Now, there's like limitations, right? Like, if we did an outrageous hypothetical of like, well, you know, if I unalived 10 babies, knowing that it would win me an election, you know, like, would that be worth it? No, but like, so there has to be like reasonable limitations on these things, but the goal should be, the priority should be to win elections so you can serve the constituents. With people like Kyle, it's like a one size fits all approach. People like Kyle have a very singular vision of what politics should look like, what campaigns should look like, what candidates should look like, what belief systems they should have, what policies they should support, and he just applies it just everywhere, and it just needs to be that everywhere, and there's just seemingly like no consideration of how radically different all the constituencies are in America, like all the different districts and states. Like in Europe, you know, you have like different countries and different languages, and there's these clear borders, and it's just, but in America we have these United States, but in Europe, we would be different countries with different cultures and different attitudes and these kinds of things. Your principles should inform your politics. It shouldn't be the other way around. Your principles should inform your politics. It shouldn't be the other way around. But I think my principles are informing my politics. I think government can be a powerful force for good. I think government can do really big things, really bold things, and make millions of lives better. Government should serve people and make sure that people have dignity and autonomy and opportunity, and like I have like policies that I prefer, but none of that matters if we're losing elections. None of that matters if we don't have majorities. Like Medicare for all. Medicare for all is fine, except just get rid of the whole banning private insurance thing. That's just not necessary, and it's dumb, and like nobody else does that. But yeah, like I would prefer a system. I like Pete's suggestion. Pete had a good policy suggestion. Medicare for all. Who want it? To ban private insurance? No one said that. That's explicitly in Bernie's plan. Bernie's plan, his version of Medicare for all bans private insurance. You should reread his proposal. I've heard creators, I've had viewers, you know, I've heard people express this. Well, I would rather lose running on the things that I think are principally like correct. I would rather lose and stand on my principles. And maybe I felt the same way when I was younger. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not interested in being a principled loser. I am looking for whatever approach yields the best chances of success in whatever race we're talking about. I am not a one size fits all person. I am a whatever fits best for that person. You're watching Kyle Kulinski. He doesn't want to ban private insurance. I would be comfortable betting $15 that he does want to ban private insurance. But he's talking about Medicare for all, which is a bill that would ban private insurance. Jasmine with $2 who says losing is immoral generally. Yes, you're taking it a step further. Yes, it's immoral to take any action that would prevent you from delivering good outcomes and policies for voters. This came up in the Ezra Klein conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates. He was saying, how can we claim to, I'm not sure how he said it exactly, but how can we claim to care about trans people and marginalized people? How are we serving them by losing? Like how can we possibly like serve any community if we just lose, right? Why does Medicare for All have to be the shit leftist version and not the good neoliberal version? I don't know. But Bernie's Medicare for All bill is to the left of every country in Europe that has socialized healthcare. Bernie's plan goes to the left of that, and it's not necessary. Banning private insurance. Why? Why? Like, if people want to spend money on private insurance, supplementary insurance, why would we take it to the extent that you would want to ban that? Like, why? I think because it's like people feel like, no, everybody should be on the same, like, it's like motivated by a sense of, like, I think equality maybe.
Like, we need no more big money. Stop. Like, you're literally one of the most, if not the most talented Democrats.
All right. I think we got the gist of him. Let's watch a video with Talarico himself.
Joining us now is the other Democrat running for U.S. Senate in Texas, State Representative James Talarico. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
That's the voice of God. It's literally the voice of God speaking through that young man, that small man.
I'll put these maps up. So I want to show the shift in Florida, which we just showed. This is Latino voters. And we know because of the area, right? So South Florida, obviously big Hispanic population there. Now this is the 2020.
Watch, this guy's gonna speak, and you guys are gonna understand why I stan this guy. I'm such a fucking Talarico stan. Can I say SIMP on Twitch? Can I even say that?
This is a 2020 election. Look at this 2020 voter shift in Texas, which was the other big part on the map that really jumped out. Those enormous red arrows there at the bottom in the Rio Grande Valley. That was really a place where this is, again, an election that Trump lost, right? That Biden won, but we saw that realignment moving. How do you think about those voters and the voters of Texas, what you have to do to win this state that has been so impossible for Democrats to carry statewide?
All right, we've heard Crockett's theory of the case. Let's hear Talarico.
Well, I'm an 8th generation Texan. My family's been in the state since it was Mexico. And my family is from South Texas. My mom grew up in Laredo, right there on the Texas-Mexico border. And I get the sense that voters down in South Texas feel betrayed by both political parties. The National Democratic Party took communities like the Rio Grande Valley for granted for far too long. And so those voters were open to an alternative. Republican politicians came to town and made big promises. They promised to lower the cost of everything. They promised to put working families first. They promised to drain the swamp. And that sounded pretty good, including to some of my family members in South Texas who voted for Donald Trump in the last election. But just 1 year later, everything is more expensive. Working families are falling further behind.
See, like, again, I normally fucking hate this kind of rhetoric, but for some reason, I like it coming from him. I like when Bernie says this shit, I'm like, motherfucker. But when he says it, I'm like, because I think you need this, bro. I think this is strategic. Has he always done populist rhetoric? That's a good question. I just think this is smart, man. I think this is just smart. The reason why Crockett was asked, are you worried about, what do you plan to do to maybe convert some Trump voters? It looks like you have to. She's saying, well, we don't have to. I think he understands the truth, which is that, no, you do. And like, what do you think is going to be more likely to persuade potential Trump voters to, step over the line and vote for a Democrat? Running as like a super partisan Democrat or doing this kind of language? So even though I hate this language in a vacuum, I think it is definitely the move in a state like fucking Texas.
And corruption in Washington is the worst it's ever been. Those Republican politicians made big promises, but they delivered more of the same. So they fumbled the ball. But that doesn't mean the ball is going to run itself into the end zone. That is incumbent upon us as Texas Democrats, incumbent upon our campaign to make the case to these voters, to connect with these voters, persuade them to join us in this effort to stop the extremism and corruption that we're seeing in Washington.
You said the phrase, us as Texas Democrats. I've covered the Texas Democratic Party for a long time, and I've done reporting in Texas and know the state relatively well. Obviously, quite famously, right? It's like the Chicago Cubs, right? Before 2016, right? Like it's one of the most famous sort of iconic losing streaks in politics. Yeah. Haven't carried a statewide race since Ann Richards, right? If I'm not mistaken. Right. It's now going on 30 plus years. Right. Why are you going to be the person to break that streak?
Well, we're going to do it as a team. It's not going to be one person. When you zoom out and you look at statewide elections in Texas, they've gotten more competitive, not less, over the last 15, 20 years. When I was growing up in Texas, Republicans would win by 25, 30 points. Now they consistently win by single digits. I think it's going to be incumbent upon all of us to do the work in communities like South Texas to persuade these voters to join us in our fight against extremism and corruption. And our campaign is building a movement in Texas. We have shattered grassroots fundraising records in the state. We have recruited more than 10,000 volunteers who, as you and I speak, are out there doing the work.
Again, him being like 10 to 15 points behind Crockett, coming from the kind of obscurity that he comes from. Like, how many people knew who this guy was 4 months ago? Like, when was his appearance on Rogan? That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive that he's that competitive with her, even though she has an enormous advantage on him.
To win voters over and to flip this state. And that's the kind of infrastructure, the kind of effort we need to energize Democratic voters, bring in new voters, and peel people off from the other side. You have to do all three if you're going to win a seat like Texas Senate.
I want to play a little video your campaign put out talking about expense, cost of living. Obviously, we were just talking about that early in the program. Take a listen.
Thanks to tariffs, everything costs more, a lot more. These deep-fried Oreos cost $14. They used to cost $6. This funnel cake chicken sandwich.
Deep-fried Oreos. My goodness. How do people eat deep-fried Oreos and then have solid poops? How?
Used to be $9, now it's $15. So when you walk into the voting booth next November, remember this $25 turkey leg.
I fuck with turkey legs for sure.
I like this also, sort of a subtle. Zoran Mamdani did a very famous video about halalflation. This is like a Texas version of that. I thought it was interesting. How central do you think this issue is to the campaign? And also, what can you as a U.S. Senator do about it? Because it strikes me as one of these issues where if you're the out party...
Like, just intuitively, you guys, who do you think would have the better chance at swaying enough voters in Texas to actually win a Senate race there as a Democrat? The person who is running on Donald Trump called me low IQ, or the person who's talking about how deep-fried Oreos now cost $14? Like, it just feels like it's an assumption. It's not based on anything really. It's an assumption, but I think it's a fair assumption that kind of strategy. And to be fair to Crockett, we have to give her time to flesh out her campaign and see what else she says. But yeah,
party, it's very easy to run against. And if you're the party in governance, it's really hard to deal with prices.
So I got elected to the state house by flipping a Trump district, a district that no one thought was winnable. And I'm now in my 4th term as a state representative. And I've been able to not just stop bad Republican bills, I've been able to work across the aisle to pass bills that do bring down costs. Bringing down the cost of childcare, which is now more expensive than college in the state of Texas. Bringing down the cost of housing. I just passed a big housing bill that's going to allow for us to build single-stair housing complexes in Texas.
We stand a Yinby King.
Passed a major bill to bring down prescription drug costs, importing cheap prescription drugs from Canada right into Texas. And I passed the first ever cap on insulin copays in state history. So there are things we can do to address the structural costs in our economy that are holding working families back. I will just say, though, if we're going to do that, we have to tackle corruption, too, because it's a corrupt, broken political system that is preventing our leaders in Washington from restructuring the economy to work for regular people.
There's that Bernie rhetoric.
Since you talk about corruption, let's talk a little bit about the other side of the aisle here. This is a fascinating race, and I think lots of people are watching very closely in Republican circles.
I don't know. It's a good question. Has he always been a populist, or is he doing that now because of this Texas seat that he wants to get here?
Because there is this primary.
Right.
It's now a 3-way primary, including Wesley Hunt, Texas Congressman Cornyn, and Ken Paxton. What do you think? What is your view of that primary and what it means for what the race is going to be if you have someone who isn't a sitting senator? If, say, Ken Paxton wins and you can't sort of run against the guy who's sitting there in Washington.
Neither John Cornyn nor Ken Paxton deserve the honor of representing our great state in our nation's capital. Both of them are far more interested in representing their billionaire mega donors than representing the people of Texas. They both sold us out time and time again. Ken Paxton's crimes are well known. I was part of the bipartisan majority in the Texas House that impeached our corrupt attorney general. But you're not going to believe me when I say this, but I think John Cornyn may be even more corrupt than Ken Paxton because he was the deciding vote on that big, ugly bill. That big, ugly bill that's going to kick millions of Texans off their health care. It's going to take food out of the mouths of hungry Texas children, all to give another tax break to his donors. We oftentimes think corruption is something that's illegal, like in Ken Paxton's case, but corruption is really just the betrayal of the public's trust. It is the abuse of your public office. And so John Cornyn has forfeited his right to represent all of us in our nation's capital. And that is what I'm running.
Yeah, thanks. James Talarico's populist tinged rhetoric talking about political corruption, billionaires, and the rigged system is not entirely new, but it has become much more prominent and explicitly emphasized since he launched his U.S. Senate campaign. In 2018, it looks like he focused, when he first ran in 2018, he was focused more on policy stuff. He focused more on education, which makes sense because he came from a teacher background. I mean, that's not surprising. It's not surprising that he would lean more into the populism for this specific race.
Running against. This is not a red team versus blue team thing. This is all of us coming together to demand that we have a government that works for us and not the ultra rich.
You're in the Texas State House where you have to vote on legislation. The other woman who's running in this primary, Jasmine Crockett, had on last night. She's in the House of Representatives, so she's voting on federal legislation now. I want to ask you about a vote today, the National Defense Authorization Act. It passed with a big bipartisan majority, about half Democrats for, half against, a slight majority against. Jasmine Crockett voted against that bill. How would you have voted today?
Well, again, I got my hands full with the work that I'm doing in the State House, and I think anyone who knows me knows that I'm a policy wonk. I'd dig into the details of every bill. I have deliberate conversations with stakeholders, with constituents. Haven't done any of that work on this particular issue, but I will tell you.
Jasmine Crockett, is this real, chat? Jasmine for US. Is this her official Instagram account? Look at this ad that she just posted.
Trump's toughest choice was between Chantilly lace or alabaster for his billionaire ballroom. The American people have been watching, and even those who
Oh no, guys. Chat's gonna hate it. It's AI. She's doing AI stuff.
weren't watching, they felt the effects and know the pain. Trump's
a baby talking? What is this?
Unpopular policies will cost him the Republican majority in the Congress. He knows that, and that's why he called Greg Abbott and said, I need 5 seats from Texas. I'm entitled to them. And Abbott got right to it. Well, Trump,
Texas Democrat Senate polling leads all Crockett +8. Among men, Talarico is +10. Among women, Crockett is +21. 18 to 34 prefer Talarico +29. That's kind of surprising. Bro, Talarico can win this thing, motherfuckers. He can win this thing, man. This doesn't make any sense to me. The 35 to 44-year-olds, Talarico +9. And then 55 plus are Crockett +25. But this poll only has her +8. He can win this thing, man.
know you're watching. So let me tell you directly, you're not entitled to a damn thing in Texas. You better get to work because I'm coming for you.
Welcome to the future, guys. It is what it is.
Tell you that I get the sense across the state of Texas that people are deeply concerned with the direction of our foreign policy. You know, Donald Trump got elected promising peacetime, and he has delivered the exact opposite. And I think this is actually going to be a major issue in this upcoming race. And I look forward to articulating that vision for a safer foreign policy for people in Texas and across this country.
Yeah, on the
Fixer, thank you so much for 137 months, buddy.
policy wonk thing, I will note the single stair thing for the housing nerds out there. It's a big, it's in
people should look it up.
In
it's
the
a great
yes,
bill.
basically the short version is that Europe builds a lot of single stair apartment buildings. Our fire codes require 2. It makes buildings more expensive. It's less space for them. There's a lot of people who think it's just as safe to build with single stairs. So.
It is, and most other countries around the world do it. And we're now going to do it in Texas.
All right, Texas State Rep James Talarico, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.